how's it going? My name is Martina. I just graduated from the Design Academy Eindhoven, Department Man and Communication. And so lately I've been thinking a lot about the idea of work and how my generation already sees work quite differently from my parents' generation in terms of identity, status, but mostly security, I guess. And I think the question that kind of sums it up is the following. Do you prefer to first work in order to earn, let's say, a cup of coffee? Or do you prefer to first, hey, have a cup of coffee that enables work? A bit like, those who don't work, they shall not eat. But I'm wondering, how am I supposed to work if I'm hungry? We are used to the idea that everybody has to go to work in order to make a living, and that's how we make sure that everybody also contributes to the greater good. And also today, politicians are still advertising for the creation of jobs, so that, I mean, if you have a job, then you can pay your bills. So congratulations, you're grown up. But I'm wondering though, do we really need more jobs? Because I can imagine that there's a lot of work to be done, but that not all work is compensated through money. So maybe the question should be, what if we secured income instead of jobs? I have this feeling that's actually what we want. Now, just to go back a little bit, in 2016, in Switzerland, where I'm from, there was an unprecedented referendum about whether the country should have an unconditional basic income or not. Should every Swiss citizen be guaranteed 1,500 euros just because? Unconditionally, meaning no papers to fill out, no job applications to write, and no weird financial checkups. What if even the richest in Switzerland would just get this amount of money every month because it would be seen as a basic right? Well, what do you think about this? In Switzerland, unfortunately, it was rejected because there were too many economic uncertainties and people were afraid others would stop working and turn lazy and possibly smelly. So for me, this was really inspiring because this happened in 2016. The political landscape didn't look so great all over the world. And for me, this was just a very positive outlook. There was a constructive debate on what could be an alternative on how to do things. And also just asking people on the street, what would you do if your income were taken care of? I think that's a very genuine question that people would start consider and think differently about their lives. So I continued reading about this topic, and I was delighted to see that it was talked about everywhere else also, but not only in Switzerland. So the US, Silicon Valley, very interested in basic income because of automation and the loss of jobs that I guess they are facilitating also. And Finland, a national pilot experiment running for 2 years, ending this year, where 2,000 unemployed Finns are given 500 euros every month, so it's easier for them to find a job. In Italy, even the populists wanted to have a basic income, and that's when I started wondering, wait, are we really talking about the same thing? And if not, should we maybe not talk about whether we should have a basic income in a certain country, but what kind of basic income, how high should it be, and who should get it, and also what are the intentions behind it? According to the Basic Income Earth Network, a basic income is a periodic cash payment handed out to all on an individual basis, so not to a household, and unconditionally, without work requirement or means test. This is a campaign in Switzerland where they were, instead of investing all this money in posters and campaigns, they just handed out 10-franc bills at the Zurich train station. I thought that illustrated the point very well. And as interesting as all of this discussion is about post-work and empowerment and freedom, as a citizen, I was wondering, how does it change my everyday life? How would it affect me if I had a basic income? And how would it feel different in all these different scenarios? So for one of my graduation projects at the Design Academy Eindhoven, I made this basic income cafe, where I use a distinct metaphor that, that you see in a bit, to make this experience more tangible, the experience of these scenarios. So this is basic income cafe, and I use coffee as a metaphor for money. So you really see the flow of where your basic income comes from. Because as a visitor, you're entitled to 1 cup of coffee for free, because you need this energy to get through the day, especially during these days at Dutch Design Week. And if maybe you really love coffee, but for every extra cup, you just have to go to work, like in normal life. You have to physically grind coffee beans and translate your manual labor into valuable gold, because out comes your salary. And the great thing is, if you do work, and you can work as much as you like and drink as much coffee as you like, your income tax, 50%, flows back into the basic income coffee pot, where the general capital is housed. And in that sense, you're contributing to the local economy, and you're ensuring that other people can have a basic income too. So this is one of the two scenarios that I sketched out. And this one is loosely modeled on the discourse in Switzerland, where if people work less, they also can participate more in public and cultural life. On the other side, on the small tables, you only get half a cup of coffee, which is a little bit disappointing, but hey, it's still more than what you asked for. And I mean, you didn't have to fill in papers and show them how thirsty you are, right? So that's already an improvement. But it's just enough energy to actually go and work. So there's a clear work incentive in this scenario. So you see how different these interpretations and purposes of basic income can be, a bit like in the beginning, the question that I asked. Oh yeah, this side is loosely modeled on the pilot experiment in Finland, where only unemployed Finns are given just enough money so it makes it easier for them to find a job, but not enough that they could possibly only live from it. And also at the end of this accidental performance, I always ask people to wash their cup themselves, because then they also spare other people from doing their work, and we don't create more jobs if not necessary. So in that sense, the cafe becomes a conversation piece as the visitors talk to me and my performers, and we've tried to find out what kind of basic income people want. And that's why I also want to show it in different countries to see, because I can imagine that in every country, the economic situation is different. And it also becomes a research tool in a sense, where we can kind of see the social dynamics unfold, because if you're sitting on this table, and let's say you stay there for some time, and then you experience also, maybe there are not enough people who go to work. And then we have a small economic crisis, which has happened quite often before also. Or what if Peter drinks a lot of coffee, and he never goes to work, and you get really bothered by it? Or maybe not, maybe you don't care. Or maybe Peter is a really fun person, and that's the value he contributes to the table. So in that sense, the definition of work, if it's not tied to just the generating coffee here, then it also becomes a little bit more open. So I just like to test this with people also for longer term, because then we can really see how can we make the system self-sustaining, what do we need to change in the economic systems in order to make it run, or what kind of conditions do we need to put, or do we have to force people to work? And in that sense, I think Basic Income Cafe is here to prototype social and economic futures. Because in the end, I guess it's a social question. Do you trust others with an unconditional basic income? I say let's try with coffee first, and I hope the answer is yes. Thank you.